say something? Just small. Yes, so even because
Go ahead.
okay, the map, now your map that you show, can you go for the Copen climatic?
Yes, okay, area.
Yes.
Okay, this one.
It's too general, the Copen climatic. Like for instance, look at Jos. If you look at the temperature there, is lower. I can't really see it here from here.
Temperate dry with.
No, using the colors there, just is light, meaning that it is.
It's not part of the region. It's not part of that classification.
Not part of the Copen climatic. Copen is just general.
Copen is general, the bioclimatic classification.
So in continuation of what Professor Abu said, it's better to get better temperature of those regions, because this one is just general. Like this whole general one, this big blue there are so many other small climatical differences inside there. I don't know that Niger cannot be the same with Taraba, so, but all of them are all one color. So this thing has been watered down more than this. There are more temperature differences than this. It will give you this more variation in temperature since it's thermal. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go to the topic again? I'm trying not to repeat what other persons have stated, but there are lots of issues that we need to look at. The heading, now, tropical savanna climate. Tropical savanna is a defined entity, right?
Yes.
Does it have different climates? Not temperature is a difference. Does it have different climates? Does it have different microclimates? That's been my worry when I saw the climates in plural on defined region. What defined it as tropical savanna? Is it the climate or the vegetation?
The Copen climate is based on vegetation.
So in other words, the climate is the same for tropical savanna, not the temperature, climate. Dry season, rainy season. So why are we having climates in tropical savanna? I don't know.
I think was I the one that was trying to struggle with that climate or weather the other times? I don't know whether. So it's good when it's an academic discussion. So let's discuss it so that we understand the whole thing. Well,
So that S has no
link yet. No S.
So clarify with your supervisor so that we know what you guys are up to.
Knock out that S. And let's see, is it with the supervisor that was saying that if you remove the S, something will change, is it?
That S doesn't have a place there.
It doesn't have a place to say.
Yeah, so,
the supervisor is sitting down here to you.
he was
They still shouldn't talk. That he's going to send me out.
Yeah, why not the chairman? We can send you home, sir. Now, optimized courtyard and not thermal comfort. I think somebody made that statement. So that we are trying to optimize the courtyard. Maybe we increase the spacing, ventilation, orientation, so that we are coming up at the end of the day with architectural solutions. Not coming up with, you can also have that, but we need to come up with architectural suggestions. Or, yeah, I can call it suggestions for now. Now, we are talking about mixed method. I believe when you meant mixed method, we are talking about the fact that you need, the tools you need are equipment that measures temperature and all of that. Then at the same time, another tool you need is a questionnaire. So one is quantitative, one is qualitative. So that's why you are calling it mixed method. I am assuming that, but I think Dr. Inza pointed out an issue that maybe that's not your understanding. But if our understanding of mixed method is the fact that you're coming up with quantitative data and qualitative data.
Sometimes there is mistake. When you want to refer to the qualitative, you will say quantitative. For instance,
okay.
Yeah. I think that is the thing that you have.
So we're assuming that's the mixed method. Now, why are we analyzing courtyard, semi-open transitional courtyard in private universities? The point is germane in the sense that you can analyze the open courtyard in an empty courtyard in a normally used courtyard and in an overcrowded courtyard. You can do analysis of it so as to find out what's happening. But what people are saying is, or what my colleagues are saying is, if a courtyard is not quote-unquote abused, why are we studying it? So that at the end of the day, when we come up with our research, we come up with something new, that will be useful to us. So I understand why at times you're leaning towards private universities, private university have access. But like earlier speakers have said, you might come up with a work that people will ask you, so what's the problem? Because you discover that some of your equipment will I think we need to, I don't know, maybe reduce, I don't know, maybe make it, because as we move on, like somebody suggested, start with acronym, then move on. Maybe we'll reduce the acronym so that it's not
I didn't come up with, only came up with one, all the rest are from literature.
If it exists in literature, you need not abuse us with it now. So you can just come up with the ones that are useful in the context of what you are doing. So that all we know is maybe SOTC. There's a place I'll show you where you use it interchangeably. You're studying both of the SOTC and HEI. Now, like it has to say, okay, I won't mention that. You mentioned it. Some of your images, you discussed the images either before or after. You understand that problem? We need to discuss, establish what do you refer to as semi-open transitional courtyards. You did a paragraph on it and you didn't come up with anything. You just, why I'm saying this, that you must come up with something that, as you go through your work, I can easily tell you that this courtyard you studied is wrong. But the way you did it now, you can study any courtyard. It's not defined. Semi-open, we assume that there are 3 walls, 1 space is open. Semi-open, we assume that there are 2 walls, 1 space is open. Semi-open, we assume that there's a covering over it. Semi-open is only 2 walls, but it has a roof. So which one are we studying? We need to be specific. Define, use the places you study. Which ones are predominant? Now we're working backwards from answer to question now, which is not illegal. Which ones are predominant? Then define your semi-open courtyard based on that, so that you don't start defining now and they don't exist in your place of research. In your place of study. Good. Your place of study. So that. So which one are we studying? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Or we're going to see the 3 of them, or we'll be using the 3 of them interchangeably. Because when you say semi-open, I can argue that number 3 is not. But you can also say that it's open to the sky. So it's all those, we just need to define it. You might say number 2 is not. But you can argue that when I say semi-open, I mean number 2, because one side is open. I mean, it's open to the exterior portion. So which one? Is it number 1? Is it number 2? We need to define it in narrative and explain further, add sketches so that you show us at the end of the day, I'm handling 1 and 3 or 2 and 3. So that when you go to side, you are guided. That if it's not looking like 2 and 3, I'm not studying. And then at the end of the day, when we look at your work, when we see number 1, we know that no, we are not supposed to. This is not a definition of semi-open. So you need to come up with what is actually a semi-open. It was during this work that I saw Christina. You have been running away from UK. I was wondering how you were going to do this research without Christina. I'm happy to see that we have it. Now, sociocultural aspect. What is the efficiency? What has the efficiency